The information shared on Light Body Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Laura May, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to Light Body Radio.
Welcome to Light Body Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, and today we have with us Mary Sanders. She has a wealth of experience as a medical intuitive and chiropractor. Dr. Mary is deeply committed to guiding individuals on their journey of personal transformation. She focuses on helping people cultivate thriving health, happiness, and purpose through the powerful tools of energy medicine, spiritual embodiment, and meditation. She also hosts an internationally acclaimed podcast called Energy Medicine, which discusses everything related to aligning the mind, body, and spirit. She earned her doctorate in chiropractic medicine from Logan College of Chiropractic in St. Louis, and she completed her certificate in positive psychology from the Whole Being Institute in Lenox, Massachusetts, and she studied under Tal Ben-Shahar. In addition, she's completed her master's in intuition medicine from the Academy of Intuition Medicine in Sausalito, and she studied under Dr. Francesca McCartney. Sorry. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah. So I always like to start with having my guests talk about their journey. So what was it that drew you into medical intuition and really, I guess, merging the physical with the spiritual?
Yeah, before I get started, Dr. Lara, I just want to express gratitude. Gratitude to you for all the services and the offerings and how you're showing up in this world. As a functional practitioner, you are integrating the mind, body, and spirit. So your listeners and your patients are so very blessed to have you as one of their practitioners. So thank you for all that you do ahead of time. And that was a very super kind introduction. When I listened to this introduction, I'm like, oh my goodness, am I really that old? And yes, listeners, I am. And with that, I'm happy to say that I am aging gracefully, and with that comes a certain amount of wisdom. So that means that I get to talk about my life experiences without those emotional triggers. And so it hopefully can provide you, the listeners, spare you a few bumps in the roads and schools of hard knocks. So it's my honor, listeners, to spend time with you today. So thank you for joining us. And Dr. Lara, I just want to start. I'm not going to elaborate too far into my history, but I'll start by sharing with you and the listeners that I was born into this physical world being hearing impaired. And so my hearing capacity is 50% of what a normal person hears. And I went undiagnosed until I was the age of 3. So I had the fortunate opportunity, and I didn't know this obviously at the age of 3, but I was kind of like in this no man's land, this space between the physical world and the spiritual world, not knowing exactly where I belonged. And so I developed really early on I developed extrasensory perception. So I started to gather information above and beyond the traditional five senses. Why? Because I couldn't hear. And so I kind of touched my way through the world. So I developed psychometry and I felt my way through the world. So I was perceiving and receiving information from all the beautiful people that surrounded me in my environment. And so that's how I came into this world. And somewhere along the line, Dr. Lara, I said I was going to get that pronunciation correct.
It's all good.
And I somewhere along the line knew that I needed to kind of desensitize myself. I wanted to exist in this physical world, not being too weird. I wanted to fit in with my family. I wanted to fit in with my classmates. And so I kind of desensitized myself to all the information that I was receiving. But when I went to chiropractic school, at the ripe age of 21, finally I was around a group of people who were wanting me to lean into my intuition, wanting me to feel above and beyond the physical world when I was touching human bodies. And so finally I was able to show up in my strength. And so time passed, let's say a good 30 years passed. And then I was like, wow, okay, so I know the human body, I know the brain. Now I really want to tap into the awareness of the subtle energetic body. And so that's what led me to do further additional training at the Academy of Intuition Medicine in Sausalito, California. And so now I just get to show up in my strengths and my superpowers and hold space for people in their healing and their transformation as a medical intuitive, which lights my fire, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So let's see, how do I want to say this? So I think the chakras are a beautiful sort of roadmap for us to be able to start to get to know our bodies on a different level than just the physical. So it takes us a little bit deeper. Why have you also sort of gravitated towards the chakra system?
Yeah, this is a beautiful question. And I love talking about the chakras or the energy centers located within our physical body. The reason that I have such a tremendous amount of respect for these energy centers is because they are a wealth of information. Okay. So I know that when I adjust the low back, let's say I adjust, the SI joint or the lumbar spine, I know that I am altering the energetic output of the first and the second energy center. Now, how do I know this? Because there are nerves that exit out of the central nervous system, the spine, that then travel to a corresponding endocrine gland. This gland is responsible for the hormonal production, and that relates to a specific energy center. So I can no longer, with the knowledge that I have, I can no longer just move bones and pretend that I'm not affecting the entire system, because I am, right? There's no separation, there's an integration. And you know that better than anybody. And your listeners know that because you're an integrative functional practitioner. So that's the premise and the foundation that I operate from, and that we are beautiful spirits residing within our human home, but surrounding our physical bodies is an unseen field. It's an electromagnetic field that exists and surrounds us, and it runs within our physical body as well. So that's what turned on my fascination with the energy systems and the chakras.
Yeah, I think a lot of times too, people don't really think about themselves as being an electrical system, but we really are. I mean, there's a reason that we need to be careful around electricity, because it can run through us, because it already runs through us, right? And so we need to be grounded. And so it's like so much of our function is a consequence of electrons and protons and neutrons, moving in and out of the cell and interplaying with each other. And that's exactly what these chakras are. They our energy centers. And what is energy if not electricity?
Mm-hmm. I love that you're bringing up the notion of quantum biology from the very beginning, because literally the mitochondria, the powerhouses within the trillions of the cells within our physical body are electrically driven. That's how different nutrients go in and out of the cells. And that's what drives the space between the cells. And so all of a sudden, the energy of the cells can permeate and create coherence with different areas of your physical body. So I know that I can't just look at one physical energy center and know that it's not affecting other energy centers located within that whole chain of chakras that run throughout the entire body.
Right. I mean, it's like, if looking at the earth, if you think about it too, so the earth has its own electromagnetic field, and it interacts with the sun and the moon, and we see that visible through, the waves of our ocean and the tides, and so many things. Like even the interplay of this energy can be reflected in earthquake patterns and like all this phenomenon of what we would consider a natural disaster, but it's really just natural cycles of our planet. And you can isolate it down to one thing or one place, like if you wanted to look at Kilauea in Hawaii or Etna over in Italy, you can. But really, it's the earth is like one big planet, and like we are one big organism as well. And so I think it's also really important, and this is one of the things that I preach pretty consistently, is looking at the body system as a whole. Like, yes, you might have been given a diagnosis by your practitioner, your GP, but that doesn't mean that your imbalance is isolated to that one area that you're having symptoms manifest from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, if I can, I'm going to go back to what you were just talking about. I didn't want to interrupt you because what you were saying was so eloquent, and I believe everything, and I'm in alignment with what you're saying. And so we think about the sunrise and the sunset. We think about, the light waves that get emitted, when you're at sunrise in the first couple of hours, and then the different light rays that get shined upon, why can't I find my English words today? But the light that comes at us during sunset, it's all harmonious to our biorhythms within our physical body. And you talk about the Schumann's resonance and that 7.83 hertz that is measurable, that is being emitted from the physical earth and emitted into the ionosphere. And so that then drives the physical body. And one of the things that I had the pleasure of seeing, and when I saw this, it darn near, I cried. Okay, I absolutely cried. And this was at a conference last summer. I was up in Denver, and the Heart Math Institute was presenting there. And what they were showing was the universal love that surrounds all of us and the coherence of the brain and the heart. And essentially, they were showing the toric field, as it surrounds all living organisms. And what they did is they then took a satellite image of the Earth, right? And so we're looking at this image of the Earth, and we can see the toric field surrounding the Earth. And it's just absolutely simply amazing to witness, because we are part of that whole. There is no separation. There is no separation.
Right. And I think people are feeling that more and more, whether they're consciously aware of it or not. I think we're feeling the different upheavals that happen across the planet. I mean, we're in tune with those. They do affect us. And so I think it also speaks volumes to what an impact we can have if we get deliberate with raising our vibration and clearing out our chakras and aligning them and doing sort of that daily energetic hygiene, if you will.
And it is hygiene. It should be part of our daily routine, just like washing our hair, washing our face, or brushing our teeth. And we have a certain amount of responsibility, at least I believe that we have a responsibility to contribute to the collective. So if your energetic field is cloudy or congested or stagnated, then you're not serving the collective to its highest being or to its highest level. So I do believe that it is our responsibility to take care of our energy systems, and utilizing the earth energy is one of the most available and sustainable energies. We all have access to it. And guess what? It's free. It's available whether we're here in the United States or we're in Italy or we're in Indonesia. It's the same frequency. So I love that.
Yeah, so let's move into maybe some like how-tos and some tools. So how can people do that or is there a specific method that you recommend to your clients or to do that daily energetic hygiene?
Yeah, the first thing that I recommend is that people learn how to ground, to meet and greet the frequency of Mother Earth. And the reason being, as I just talked about briefly, is that this energy is slow, it's rhythmic, it's organic, it's like nutrient rich brown frequency that helps support us in a very nurturing and loving way. So if we can allow that energy to enter in through the soles of the feet and into the meridian system that runs within the physical body and carry it up into the torso and into the central nervous system, then we are starting to create a sense of harmony. And in that, there's a cleansing property that happens literally, that the earth's primary responsibility is to receive any and all discordant energy that you may be housing within your physical body. So I kind of look at it, the analogy is, okay, so when you take a shower, chances are the water falls from above and cleanses you. But the earth energy is just the opposite. It moves up through your feet, through the legs, into the torso, and that replenishes you and recharges you. So that's the first thing that I want to help patients and people to promote and to better understand and to practice on a daily basis, because you can use that earth energy to cleanse and charge your individual chakras. Okay. Energy just follows thoughts and intentions. So if you're imagining it, if you feel it, if you sense colors, if you have an internal pathway that you follow in your visualizations, it's all good, right? So you just allow that earth energy to cleanse and to charge discordant energy within those individual energy centers. So that's the first thing that I teach people how to do. The second thing that I teach people or hold space for is learning how to identify what is mine, meaning energetically mine, and what is coming from other people, places, things in the environment. We live in a fluid field. We exchange energy with all those that we come in contact with. And some of us are highly empathic, meaning that we will absorb that energy, right or wrong, consciously or subconsciously. You absorb that energy, and then it becomes kind of like part of your energy system. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm a little confused because I'm not kind of a depressed person, but I feel a little depressed after having lunch with my best friend who happens to be going through a divorce. You pick energy up like that, and then you're like, oh man, this isn't me. I don't know, it's not me. It's not my typical MO, but why am I feeling this way? So when we teach the technique of, I call it detached alignment, meaning that you mutually separate from these people, places, or things so that you can come back to self and identify what belongs to me personally and what rightfully belongs to me. So that's the second tool that I offer to people. The third thing, Dr. Lara, is that I want people to become present in present time consciousness. So instead of reflecting upon the past in leaning more towards depressive tendencies, or being so far forward thinking that you're anxious about what the future may bring your awareness into present time. And I find that that skill can be learned when people become really mindful of an energy center located behind the eyes in midline within the cranium. And, without going in too deep within physiology, but the optic nerve that exit behind the eyes cross, right side and left side cross, and that's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's that center that we can focus on for a minor chakra, a minor energy center, that if we align that energy center, we then now become more solid in present time. And so that's a gift. That's a big gift, because when you think about it, energetically speaking, if you're conditioned by your past and that's what you're remembering, then your future is not going to create something different, because you conditioned your responses and the memories drive the future. But if you can bring your awareness into present time and it's of a neutral, you're in present time, then your future will look completely different. And your awareness won't be based upon conditioned responses. So that helps people overcome limiting belief systems and things of that nature. So those are the top 3 tools that I hope that everybody gets to embody, because they're game changers, to be honest with you.
Wow. Yeah, especially the last one, for sure. I mean, there's so much of our unconscious lives that we bring forward every day, our past that we bring forward into our present. We don't even realize it.
Yeah, I'm talking about like 95% of what we do is conditioned that way.
Right.
Wow. And that, comes into our existence by the age of 5 or 7, picked up by our environment. And so, it's time for us, as we get to, our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, to finally reclaim the pieces and parts of ourselves that are unique to us and have a different existence. So that I find, I don't know, I just, that's gives me a sense of being hopeful, I have control over this.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, and I think that's where the real empowerment really begins, is that when we realize that that's how we're creators. So everything in our life we've created, whether we realize it or not, whether we want it there or not, we created it. And I think when you first hear this concept, it could possibly go in the direction of hopelessness or feeling even out of control, because you don't maybe quite understand the how and the why. But then once again, you do get a grasp on how that works, both, energetically and metaphysically, like scientifically, then I feel like that's when the self-empowerment comes in. And it's a practice, just, I mean, like, we've been conditioned. And so we need to condition ourselves to be present, to teach ourselves to be present, so that we can, with our intentions, bring forward and bring into physical what we want, whatever that is, whether it's a relationship, a job, a certain amount of abundance. In many different ways abundance can show up. But realizing that we have the power to create that, if we just have to get deliberate and intentional.
Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. But Dr. Lara, I have to say, I agree 100% with everything that you just communicated. And it's been my experience that if somebody, I know that when I say everything that has happened to you, or everything that's existing in this world, is because you've created it, that's incredibly triggering to a lot of people, because defensively, because defensively are like, well, I didn't create my mother's, dying early. I didn't create this sexual assault. I didn't create this domestic abuse. And in some way, on an accountable level, on a deep level, yes, you did. And there's an and to it, that you can shift that outcome. Okay, I'm not saying that you can erase the past, but all the memories and the belief systems and the conditioned responses as a direct result of that event can be shifted so that you can align with a different version of self moving forward. Absolutely 100% that is true.
Right.
So, but again, it takes that really beautifully unique spirit to kind of go, okay, like, I created being hearing impaired. I'm in many ways, this is kind of an interesting topic. In many ways, I was really blessed. I
Mm-hmm.
was really blessed. Now, did I miss out on some of the beautiful sounds that exist in this universe of ours? Absolutely. And it wasn't until recently, not too long ago, I was doing another seminar in Denver, and they were doing some coherence healings. And I'm like, nope, I don't need any, nope, 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 nope. Because I was specifically thinking about transforming my hearing. And I thought to myself, I don't know at the age of 56 if I could exist in this world with full hearing capacity after 56 years of not hearing everything. And so during that seminar, I had a very big transformational shift. And I said, if that was offered to me and my body was in alignment with it and it served me to my highest good, yes, I would take 100% of my hearing back. Is it something that I wish to create in the future? Possibly, yes.
Beautiful. Yeah. But I think you bring up a good point too, is what we learned, along the way from whatever we have experienced, whether we label it positive or negative, it instigated growth in some way. It influenced our trajectory. It had an impact for better or for worse. And so when we're able to evaluate that again from a place of non-judgment, from a place of self-forgiveness, because I think that's a large piece of this too that we don't even think about, especially when we're looking at things from the perspective of this happened to me, maybe from that place of feeling victimized, which is totally natural and totally normal. I'm not discounting anyone's feelings or their experience, but in my experience and from what I've seen both within myself, my own journey, and working with clients that are moving through this process of healing, is that how we view it and how we view ourselves in the context of it. Again, like how much like we need to forgive ourselves just as much as we maybe need to forgive a situation or another person, and that's not condoning whatever happened. It's just saying that I am agreeing to release this energy. I don't need to carry it with me anymore. And a lot of times that's when people will heal from their physical conditions too, is when they've agreed to release the energy, to release the anger, to release the frustration, to release the blame to someone else and themselves. And so, tell me a little bit like what you've seen through your medical intuitive lens in terms of how this influences what we develop as physical dis-ease, and then also through the healing process.
Yeah. I just love our conversation, Dr. Lara. So I'm digging it and I'm right with you because I'm going to add to what you were just saying, if I may.
Oh,
And
sure. Yeah.
that is, you were talking about people that have viewed life experiences from a place of victimhood and then create, like a learned helplessness kind of a response to those life experiences that really settles within the fourth energy center associated with the heart.
Mm.
And so when that happens, and again, this is in alignment with everything that you just said, when you can get into that self-love and that self-forgiveness, it will strengthen the energy that you allow to come to you, the energy that you magnetically attract. So you can say, Okay, I'm just picking, let's say, a young lady, her mom died at a young age. And so maybe she had felt some heartache around that, and that it has compromised her ability to receive love because she missed, that maternal loving, nurturing aspect from her mom. So maybe this young lady is incredibly loving to her children, right? So she knows how to electrically send the signals out from her heart space, but perhaps she has difficulty receiving magnetically the love that's coming back to her. And so once the healing occurs, then you can electrically send signals out while simultaneously magnetically attracting those loving relationships and allowing that love to permeate into the healing of the heart energy center. So you talk about physical healing that happens as a direct result of that, is that if the thymus gland, which is, many of the listeners may not know this, but the thymus gland is an endocrine gland that's primarily active in young people. And it's designed to help boost young people's immune system. And then something happens, you go through puberty or young adolescence, and then that organ kind of becomes underactive. It doesn't disappear or anything, it's still there. It just doesn't have as active of a role. And so we know that perhaps that energy center, that endocrine gland, is associated with various different regions within that area surrounding the heart. Okay, so you have the physical heart, you have the lungs, you have the breast tissue, you possibly have the space on, between the shoulder blades on your back. You may even connect into the shoulders, elbows, arms, and wrists. So those physical body regions associate with that energy center, that chakra system. And when you start to heal that energy system and you bring and allow more energy in, your innate and somatic wisdom gets turned on, and literally the cells that you are turning over are new, more vibrant, healthy, whole cells. And so you can start to heal your body from the inside out, along with the emotional body.
I love that. And just even the thought that love can heal. I think we've probably heard that it does, and that, can be a very abstract concept, but I love that you put it into such good context for us to really understand the physiology behind the reality of that. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And we can't separate everything. We are part of the whole. So our physical body is part of the energetic body, is part of the emotional body, is part of the chemical body, is part of the energetic body. We are all of those things at all times.
Yeah. So what about, let's say, our throat chakra? I have been a student of Caroline Myss for many years now, and I love her work. And I first found her through her work as a medical intuitive. And I love how she talks about the throat chakra as being a center of free will, because that's where our verbal expression comes from. So what have you seen relative to that energetic space in terms of maybe even like what's happening within our society as of late, with like speaking up for, our body sovereignty in a myriad of ways, or, whatever people like really want to be speaking their truth about, and or haven't for so long. Have you seen a lot of that coming up with your clients?
Every day. Every day. And by the way, I do love Carolyn's work as well. So let's talk about the throat, okay? What I see in my personal practice is that the fifth energy center is most often coupled with an imbalance within the second energy center. The second energy center is connected in, for women, it's the ovaries, the reproductive system. And energetically, we think about themes of creation. Obviously, this is where you can create another human being, for crying out loud. But even more so, we can create and connect into our deepest desires. It's creative energy. And our society, unfortunately, unfortunately has conditioned us into, pigeonholed us into various different responsibilities. So as, a young woman or a young mother or an older woman taking care of older parents, we are naturally perceived as being the caretakers within society. We also, the fifth energy center, the energy center located within the throat, which is connected into the thyroid. The thyroid is responsible for your metabolic balances. And so the ability to connect with your deepest desires and authentically express your deepest expression, creative expressions out into the world. And I don't care if that's voice, I don't care if that's writing or dancing or movement. It's a creative expression of self. So if we were raised in a society, I'm one of these people where my parents always wanted me to be seen, right? They wanted me to be part of the family when we showed up at functions, but they never really wanted to hear from me. Even at the dinner table, it was a conversation between the adults. They weren't saying, hey, Mary, let's weigh in on your opinion. What do you think about this? Because it was a time, in the early 70s that, what the man said in the household is what, that's the truth. Never did we contradict or speak back to the men or the elders in the family. And so that compromises the voice, okay? Now, what I have seen for myself and others in holding space for my patients is that you often see degenerative disc issues, degenerative joint issues within that area, that energy center, coupled with an underactive thyroid. So listeners, if you're out there saying, oh my goodness, she's talking about me, how does she know all this information? It's because it's a theme, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
so then, and this is not lost on me, Dr. Lara, and that jaw issues start to show up and ear issues start to show up. And so I know that I chose to come into this world being hearing impaired, but I also look at patterns, whether it be past life or ancestral patterns that I may have brought forth and aligned with that expression to compromise my hearing so that I could fully lean into the healing of my throat chakra. And as I mentioned, that the throat chakra, when I heal that, then I can get in deep, deep, deep connection for what it is that I wish to express this lifetime around.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's interesting to me too that we have and we see this such a widespread, I don't know if I really want to give it a label, but so many people as they age develop thyroid issues. And, you can take that back a lot to the physical side of things for sure. Whether it be hormonal or stress driven or, toxic exposure driven, or even, some may argue genetically driven. But really, if we, again, looking at it from the perspective of the themes of not only ourselves as individuals, but again, ancestrally, societally, what is that about us that once we, sort of move through our 30s, 40s, and 50s, that area sort of gets either blown out, depleted, whatever. Maybe it's just the fact that we're ignoring it. We're not speaking our truth. We're not expressing ourselves. We're not being creative. We sort of resign ourselves to being the parent, being the career person, being, whatever that is. And instead of knowing that we can do that I think a lot of times we're conditioned to think that it has to be either or instead of this and that there can be a balance. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So I just think that's super fascinating.
Yeah, holding space for women in that healing journey has been, eye-opening learning for me, right? Every time I give a healing, I get a healing. So, I learn something every single time I hold sacred space. This energy center, as you mentioned, collectively, I think it's like microscopically, lensed in that collectively women are finding their voice. And I think that voice, that feminine voice, is going to be the pivotal point for a plethora of events to unfold before our very eyes. I really do believe that. And it's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even think it's actually going to be very valuable for bringing through the divine masculine energy. I mean, we've been, male dominated for thousands of years now throughout society in terms of, who's running the show, if you sort of speak, like in government roles. But, there is this concept of divine masculinity, and what does that look like? And I think reawakening the divine feminine and allowing that to be more widely discussed and spoken about and like reacquainted with is really going to help bring back that divine masculine and that beautiful balance too. Yeah, I'm excited to see holding.
Yeah. And Dr. Lara, I agree with you. Once again, you and I are preaching from the same soapbox. But anyhow, I believe that when you are strongly rooted within the feminine, you're also strongly rooted within the masculine. There is no duality. It's an only unified approach that intricately weaves the strength of both of these perceived characteristics. And so when we're in that kind of an alignment, and again, I do think that, that collectively we're shifting in that way, that's when we're going to be able to overcome some of these old archetypal type stuff that no longer serves us. That was part of the past paradigm.
Yeah. Let's talk about the third chakra. I feel like there's a lot of gut health stuff, that's in the field of functional medicine. And we talk a lot about how like your health really starts in your gut. And technically the gut goes all the way, obviously from your mouth to your anus, but that third chakra, your solar plexus, that area of self-esteem and self-confidence. But I've found I recently had a healing experience through a modality called QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique. And what came through for me, and I've had IBS since my 20s, that it was really rooted in resistance to being told what to do. A resistance to being sort of like steered in a direction that I knew wasn't, for my highest and greatest good. And so like part of my personal soul contract with healing this one thing in my life is to let go of the resistance, but also learn to speak up and embody more of my path in a more not brave, but present way. So what have you seen from your other clients and patients in terms of their third chakra? I'm curious. Again, because we've established that there's themes here. So I'm curious about the themes that you've seen for this third chakra too.
Yeah, I love having this conversation. So for the listeners, just for the benefit, the third energy center sits in the upper abdomen, just underneath the breastbone, underneath the rib space. And as Dr. Lara was talking about, you often see self-confidence, self-worth tied up in this energy center. And I'm going to go a couple of steps further and say, this is really where autonomy comes from, okay? And sovereignty. Like that's what Dr. Lara was saying about, my presence, and that's her sovereignty, her essence. And so what I've seen in my practice is that this is an energy center where it is not uncommon for women specifically to have non-contractual cording in the backside of this energy center. And so what this means is that people, places, or things, the environment has non-contractually corded in the backside of this energy center with the intention of controlling you in some way, shape, or form. And so as Dr. Lara was saying, okay, so maybe I was resistant to being told what to do, but perhaps Dr. Lara had a energetic cord from an outside influence that was saying, we need you to look, act, and respond in this way. And we need you to stay about that size. We don't need you to get any bigger than that. We need you to be contained so that we can control you. And then Dr. Lara was like, nope, that's not going to happen. And so she kicked and she bucked and she fought. And then it probably came out sideways. It didn't come out in a really graceful way. You know, this is like the rebellious teenage years. And then she shows up professionally and she says, no, I'm strong, I'm confident, and I know intellectually what it is that I want to communicate to other patients. So that's a beautiful healing journey, and it does not surprise me that you had intestinal IBS type symptoms. It's not uncommon for women to have SIBO or to have pancreatic imbalances, digestive enzyme issues, all the liver, gallbladder, spleen, pancreas type symptoms. And I agree with you in that the gut, literally, wherever you find it or associate with it in the tract, is the main brain of the body. And so I love that your knowledge base can be tied in experientially to the themes and the emotional understanding of what these women have gone through.
Mm-hmm. It's just really interesting because it was a theme that showed up in past lives, and then obviously in this one too, very strongly. And so it was a big aha. And then, yeah, like you said, like figuring out the healing piece of that is figuring out how to show up as my authentic self in, again, like a loving, compassionate, and productive way. Like, exactly. So again, like bringing back in that fifth chakra. So again, all connected, so beautiful.
The human body never ceases to amaze me. Honest to goodness, Dr. Lara, you know as well as anybody else that the more that we learn, it's like the complexity of how we were engineered and how we fit to being part of this whole thing that exists and surrounds us blows my living mind.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we need to wrap it up. What else? Is there anything else that you want to bring forward that we haven't touched on yet?
We've had such a delightful conversation. I've really enjoyed connecting with you. There's nothing, Dr. Lara, that I can think about at this moment that's, the glaring, hey, we missed this.
Right.
I thought we had a really good conversation. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Tell people where they can find you.
Yes, Dr. Lara, I appreciate that. My website is a living, breathing organism of its own. So you can find out about all my upcoming events. You can find out about my recent podcast or various different services, or if you just want to connect for a discovery call, I can be found on the internet at www.drmarysanders.com. So Dr. Sanders is my name.com, and you'll find me, and feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you just have questions or you just want to connect, you can always find me on social media as well.
Well, and then also too, there's an energetic toolbox link. What does that involve?
Oh my goodness, this is like, I don't know. I'm having my last class today of the most recent cohort, and it's a group of beautiful women. My intention with the energy medicine toolbox is to teach practical tools so that we can live a life that we desire. So we teach the three energy systems, earth energy, life force energy, kundalini. Then we talk about the various energy centers and how we can calibrate them based upon our environment. And then we tap into the quantum and into the eighth chakra as well. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I'll be starting another cohort come this fall in 2025. Stay tuned. If you want to be on the wait list, you check it out on the website.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. We'll have all of these links in our show notes page, which lives at drlaramay.com/podcast. So thank you again, Dr. Mary. I really appreciate your wisdom, your presence, and all the work that you're doing in the world.
Right back at you.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next episode. Thank you for joining me on Light Body Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.